Perfect. Here we go. So I'll just slowly get us started, and then as people arrive, we'll let them into the Zoom room. So thank you everyone for joining us. Oh my God, we have 5 panelists with us. A lot of stuff to discuss today. So thank you for taking the time on your busy Thursday, I think we are, to be with us today. Yeah. And if some folks in the room, everybody is co-host on the panelist side and my colleagues. So if you see people in the waiting room, feel free to let them in. So here we are today, October 17, to talk about why joining a professional association. So pretty excited because that's a topic that comes up a lot with the students throughout their career, throughout their times at RRU University. It's like, what should I do elsewhere? Like outside of my studies, right? Outside of the classroom. So I'm so excited that people decided to join us today and talk about it. So this event is part of Career Learning and Development. So myself, Nancy, I am a WIL framework developer. So that means work integrated learning developer. And I have Sue Brown here in this room with me and Heather McDonald, and they are career advisors. So working one-on-one with students, doing classroom presentation, so much going on. So I just want to acknowledge who is here in the room with me. And often I forget to introduce myself. So my name is Nancy, as I just mentioned, and I use the pronouns she, her. Yeah, October 2024, can't believe already we're here, and I'll let the panelists introduce themselves in a minute. And as we get started, I'll move my slide here. Let's just take a moment to maybe ground our feet on the floor, take a deep breath. It's middle of the day, might be busy, and let's acknowledge the traditional lands that we're on. So Railroads University and myself today, I'm on campus, are on the unceded territories of the Lekwungen speaking people, also known as the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. So it's with deep gratitude that we live, learn, work, play here on those traditional lands where non-Indigenous and Indigenous people come together. And please, if you know the Indigenous lands you're joining us from, you can put that in the chat. And please note that you have been muted, just so I don't have to monitor the participant all the time. But of course, after the panelist presentation, we will make sure you have time to ask your question and unmute. And as we go through the presentation, if you have any question, then you can put them in the chat and I'll monitor that for sure. So here is a quick agenda for us today. So the goal, of course, hearing about our fantastic 5 panelists, hear about them, their story, what they do, keeping time for questions. And we'll see at the end if you need some networking. I might be using some of the breakout room if some of the students want to have specific kind of one-on-one question with the panelists. So we'll try to wrap up all of this in 60 minutes. And why are we here today? So the Career Innovation Project, I see many faces that I know, many names that have been kind of following the project over the last year and a half. So this is federal funding we got from the Government of Canada, talking about sustainability and work integrated learning opportunities here at Railroads University. So we're often talking about Canada's transition to a net zero economy. We won't get into it too much today, but this is something you can find on the webpage, a bunch of resources that you can use as a student, as an alumni, as someone working in different industries. So as I mentioned before, the career advisor in my team and the team here are working hand in hand with students. So connection matters. And if you're still kind of debating why should I join a professional association or even talk about it, I got that quote this morning. Participating in a professional group brings many benefits you can get anywhere else: a sense of community, personal interaction with like-minded individuals, and a way to participate and contribute in your industry. So I'm sure that the panelists will have more to say about that. And as a student, I love that graph. I know my colleagues will laugh because I put it everywhere. It's like, as a student, right? Or even as someone thinking of going back to school or as an alum, you're like, where am I on this map? So maybe just take a second here to be like, wow, today, congratulations. Like you attend an event, you're building your network, and you're in kind of that middle column, if I can say, of being prepared for what's your next step. So thank you for making the time again and building your connections. And this is the email you can always use for reaching to our team, careerservices@railroads.ca. And I'm sure you know by now, but we use a lot what we call career roads. So this is kind of the internal system. And even the panelists here, if at some point you have some board member position, volunteer position, job offers, we use career roads for all students to access. So if you're a student and you're like, oh, I haven't been on career roads yet, just scan this QR code. And in 60 minutes, not now, you can join it and just create your account. And over to the panelists now. So I wonder who wants to go first. Maybe Coleen, you're in Halifax, so you're the farther east. Would you like to go and introduce yourself and maybe share a few slides?
Sure. Thanks, Nancy. There. Are you able to see my slides?
Not yet on my end. Do you need to press that little share? I'll stop sharing as well. Yeah.
There we go.
Amazing.
I'll get started again. There. How's that?
It's great. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Coleen Mahoney, and I'm the Certification Coordinator at ECO Canada. I'm going to provide you with some information about ECO Canada and the different designations we offer to environmental professionals. But first, I'd like to let you know about my own experience with professional designations. I've been with ECO Canada since January of 2022, and my main role is to help applicants move through the application process and become certified members. I am also responsible for the EPT student program, which is not a designation, but it can provide students with some of the resources we give to our certified members. If any of you are in the Royal Roads accredited program with ECO Canada, you can actually join EPT student for free. I'm a graduate from the University of Calgary, and I have an environmental science degree. When I was in my final year of the program, one of my professors highly recommended that we get a professional designation. Because it was my final year, I was super busy, and so I didn't really look into designations until after my exams were finished. And really, in hindsight, I should have found out about designations much sooner. What I did find out was that I had enough education to become a professional agrologist in training, but it was actually professional biologists who were doing the work that I wanted to do. And what I found out was I would have to do another semester of school if I wanted to become a professional biologist in training. Needless to say, after 5 years of university, I really didn't want to do any more education. Right now, I'm a certified EPT with ECO Canada, and this designation has worked very well for me in my role as certification coordinator. So what is a designation? Nancy provided you a quote, and I would like to let you know the quote that my colleague Helen Crawley found. This quote is from the University of Toronto, and it really explains what a designation is. A professional designation is a stamp of approval that a person can earn from an organization, demonstrating to employers and clients that the person has achieved a particular standard of excellence in their field of work. Designation provides you with recognition of your knowledge and expertise. It usually indicates that you follow a code of ethics. It helps you form a network of peers who have similar interests. It can provide you with opportunities for professional development, as well as benefits and resources to help grow your career. It may also provide you with regulatory sign-off, which means that you have the ability to submit regulatory documents. A designation with ECO Canada can provide you with all of these things except for regulatory sign-off. We are working to change this because we have an application in right now with the government of British Columbia to gain recognition for our environmental professionals as qualified professionals. Who is Eco-Canada? Eco-Canada is the steward for the Canadian environmental workforce across all industries. From job creation and wage funding to training and labor market research, we champion the end-to-end career of an environmental professional. Our aim is to promote and drive responsible, sustainable economic growth while also ensuring that environmental care and best practice are a priority. Currently, there are over 3,000 certified members across Canada who have one or more of the following designations. Our EPT, or Environmental Professional in Training, is for junior professionals who have less than 5 years of environmental work experience. Our EP designation is for mid to senior level professionals who have that 5 years of environmental work experience. We also have designations for auditors for both management system and compliance. In order to qualify for the auditor designation, applicants are required to have specific education, training, employment, and audit experience. We also have an organizational level designation known as EP Employer. This is for employers in the environmental sector to encourage environmental excellence. There are many benefits to joining Eco-Canada and becoming a certified member. Some of our most popular benefits are our mentorship program, the EPT Professional Development Framework, access to over 60 webinars on soft and technical skills that you can access for free, 25% off all our online courses and our events like our annual conference, Eco Impact, as well as free passes to our virtual and in-person meetups and networking events. I'm now going to talk about our EPT designation specifically because many students will be eligible for this designation once they graduate. The EPT designation is your first important step towards earning the EP designation. It grants you access and membership to a national community of environmental professionals, and it sets you up for success in your career by providing tools for employment and soft skills that will increase your marketability. Like most designations, when you become a certified EPT, you will need to do 2 things to keep your designation in good standing. You will need to pay your annual renewal fee every April, and you will also need to earn 20 professional development credits. We have a number of free resources that you can use to earn your professional development, and they're accessible right in your Eco-Canada account. Before I finish, I would like to mention that Eco-Canada recently launched Sustainable Blue Economy Professional Designation. In 2021, Eco-Canada, with funding from the Future Skills Centre, introduced Canada's first national occupancy standards for the blue economy. These standards are instrumental in supporting the growth of Canada's blue economy by defining key competency requirements for individuals seeking employment in this sector. A Sustainable Blue Economy professional is dedicated to advancing sustainable practices in industries and activities related to oceans and coastal areas. As leaders in their sectors, they are committed to continued innovation, ethical standards, and developing their own skills while also fostering growth in others. An SBEP plays a crucial role in promoting sustainable development within the blue economy, balancing economic opportunities with the need to preserve marine environments for future generations. Thank you very much for inviting me to come today. Please feel free to send me an email if you have any questions or you'd like more information about what I've talked about. I just want to mention that any student who is in the accredited program there at Royal Roads, you can have your EPT application fees waived as a benefit of being in our accredited program. Thank you.
This is wonderful, Coleen. Thank you. And you remind me of the Eco Impact Award and like all the energy that is at that event, right? And you do like I've met so many cool people over there. Yeah. So it's happening again, correct me if I'm wrong, in February.
That's right, February 12th and 13th at the Westin in Calgary. I almost said here, not Halifax, Calgary.
In Calgary. Thank you so much. Yeah, and if student you have question, and I'll add a note about the accredited program here. Wilfred and John, would you like to go next? Tell us about CIM.
Yes, I will start, and just a brief note, my name is Wilfred Bernick, and I'm the Vice Chair and Secretary of the BC Yukon chapter of the Canadian Institute of Management. We're better known now as the professional organization in Canada as the Chartered Managers Canada. Again, joining me today is John Fernandez. John is a BC Yukon chapter council member and our academic advisor. John will talk today about his involvement and his connection to Royal Roads University. As a bit about the CIM is about our international affiliations. We are partnered with and have extensive relationships and reciprocity with a UK charter manager and a US certified manager, and also mostly with all Commonwealth countries. So we're connected around the world in those ways. We offer free student associate membership to all of our accredited university and college partners in Canada. And finally, I am inviting, we are as our chapter councils inviting Royal Roads University to apply for accreditation with our institute. So this is our chance to invite the institute so that your students can join as free with free membership. Now I'd like to turn it over to John to discuss his involvement and background and who he is professionally as well. John, please.
Hey everyone, thanks for the opportunity, and it's great to be here. Get a chance to step away from work for a bit and come to a panel, which is something I've been looking forward to. As Wilfred said, I'm a member of the CIM here in the BC Yukon chapter. I'm based in Vancouver, so close to you all, but just across the way. I'm also an executive MBA student at Royal Roads, so I'm a student as well as full-time employee in a tech company where I lead business development and strategy. So it's kind of two hats that I wear right now. As Coleen said, when we think about these professional designations and certifications, it's kind of that stamp of approval. It's a way for us to get recognized above and beyond the credentials we're going to be gathering as a student and the experiences that we have as a student. I think for me personally, from a CIM perspective, nowadays there is such a need for leadership skills. Inspiring people, decision-making, conflict resolution, adaptability, dealing with ambiguity, cross-cultural enablement. I think when we look at the need, whether you're going into a business and commercially going to be, once you graduate, go to work in a commercial environment or a public sector environment, or whether you're running a nonprofit, leadership skills are needed. And CIM for me was a very strong way, and I've been a membership of CIM for many years, but the elements of leadership, I think when you consider why would I join a professional organization, why would I seek out an additional designation, I think it helps develop those skills. As Wilfred said, we have the certification that's available for students, which is the student associate member. And there's a lot of leadership training, there's workshops, there's seminars, there's networking opportunities that I would want people to be aware of. We just hosted one at UVic, and we've hosted them in other schools here in Vancouver as well, where we get together and we bring experts in and we have sessions with students and just use it as a networking and learning opportunity. But I think when I look at the, why CIM and what it's done for me personally, I think it's opened a lot of doors in terms of creating opportunities, and whether it's that career advancement, whether it's the learning elements that we all want and the continual learning. I mean, CIM has a pretty rich deck of content and resources and people to work with. And I think it's also the personal experiences. we have a lot of fun, and Wilfred and I get to work with other members of the CIM board and just kind of think about ways that we can further our charter in terms of leadership capabilities around managers and furthering sort of the brand of Canada in terms of what we can do in terms of developing and growing our overall ecosystem on the business side, on the commercial side, and then socially. So I'll end there, but really encouraging people, whether it's CIM or any one of the organizations you're going to hear from today, think about how it can broaden your abilities as a student and a prospective employee of somewhere at some point in time, and what skills you want to go after. If you want more information on CIM, I think Nancy's already put a link to our site, which is cim.ca, and you can also ping Wilfred and I. We're here and happy to engage on the chat as well. So Nancy, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, a student was asking me a question directly. Are you across Canada? Do you have chapter a bit everywhere in Canada?
We do. We have chapters
Okay.
across Canada.
Wonderful. So people can join. Perfect. Yeah. And do you see many of your folks in the program joining because you're in there, John? Have you been recruiting people and talking about it to your colleagues and peers?
I've been recruiting, but I think anybody who's doing a part-time program like an MBA or anybody else who's working studying part-time with a full-time job, it's one of the things that people are going to get to. But I definitely have used some of the skills that I have developed at CIM in my MBA program as well.
So that's a win-win. I love it. Yeah. Wonderful. I'm just letting more people in. Any question here? Yes, someone is mentioning about railroads working with CIM. I know when I had a phone call with Wilfred, I got a really nice sell pitch there. So we're thinking about it. We'll do our best. Yeah. Any question from the audience before I move on? I'll see who wants to go next. Alli, do you want to go next? And thank you, John and Wilfred. You can stay in the room and we'll have question after. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I can go next. So my name is Alli Boyd, and I am the president of the Vancouver Island Canadian Public Relations Society. I'm also a student here at Royal Roads doing the Master of Professional Communication, and I'm also an alumni of the school. I did the Bachelor of Arts in Professional Communication here, and I am also an employee of the school, and I love what I do. So I joined Canadian Public Relations Society on the suggestion of our program head when I started my bachelor's program here. It was recommended to connect more to the profession, and I was undergoing a midlife career change and thought that was a great opportunity. Started out as a volunteer doing social media, led me to joining the board, and now I am the leader of the Vancouver Island chapter. Canadian Public Relations Society is a national organization with 13 member societies across the country. Our society is, the mission is to further the profession of public relations and communication. And we do that through certifications, accreditations, professional development. We have a code of professional standards and ethics, and a college of fellows. What we do here, mainly like other organizations have done, these professional societies aim to help people network and connect, learn through professional development events. And we also have volunteer opportunities for anyone, but absolutely students. I love working with students. And in fact, I have brought on 2 recent Master of Arts in International and Intercultural Communication alums onto the board this year. I think that, as others have said, joining a professional association really shows your commitment to your profession. It helps others take you a bit more seriously, especially if you are lacking somewhat in professional experience. It gives that sort of additional buy-in, and it shows your commitment. But networking has opened a lot of doors for me, and especially, as I said, changing in professions, meeting key players in the industry and making these connections. Canadian Public Relations Society has conferences on different levels, including a national conference I've been to twice that has really helped me build relationships, both with people from across the country, but other local attendees that even though we live in the same town, we become friends in Quebec instead of in BC, because that's where we have more time to network and connect together at these types of conferences. For students specifically, Canadian Public Relations Society offers a discounted rate for students. It's quite less than $100, so quite a lot less than a full membership. And we also have bursaries to offer. Here on the local level, we have an annual bursary for communication students, and nationally there is a prominent student award that has been awarded to students for the last 2 years, and this year I'm hoping that it's been Ontario students from the same college the last 2 years. This year I'm hoping, as our national conference is in Banff, closer to West Coast, that we can maybe have a Royal Road student win this year. So I'm hoping to foster that. It's only available to undergrad and certificate students, so I'm not eligible. Otherwise, perhaps I would have won. But again, to sum up, if you're in communication studies and you want to connect more to your profession, CPRS is a wonderful association to do so. If you're looking to get a bit more experience to help with your resume, I do have volunteer opportunities available. So I will paste in the chat both our website and my email address. Feel free to connect with us at any time. And thank you for letting me speak here. And yeah.
That's fantastic, Ali. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at the volunteer opportunities on the website. There's quite a lot. And could you just share with us, when you joined, as you mentioned a few years ago, did you envision that you would kind of go up and like do all that? Or were you just like, oh, I'll check it out?
Well, it's funny because I was doing the social for a couple of years, and then I was like, oh, I think it's a good time to step aside. They found a new volunteer. So she's like, if you want to leave, this is a good time. So I was like, yeah, I think I've done it for a while. But then they needed a newsletter volunteer. And I was like, I haven't done a lot of newsletters. Perhaps this would be an interesting thing to learn. So I started doing that, and then sort of kind of piece by piece led to doing this. And I've never had this type of leadership role before. So it's been a learning experience for me, being at the helm. But yes, so no, I did not see it going this way, but this is my second year as president, and I've learned a lot, including being a part of those national conferences at a planning level and being an MC. So really getting that sort of help with, I think, my career prospects down the road.
Wow, yeah, because as John mentioned, and yourself, when you're full-time at school, I can understand that students are like, oh no, I can take on more. But yeah, it's kind of piece by piece, step by step. So that's fantastic. Thank you. And Carolyne, would you like to go next? And I'm sorry, Carolyne, I realized I was calling CPRH. So I guess I was still thinking in French, but it's HR, so CPHR.
Yeah, I'm from CPHR BC and Yukon, and I do have some slides to share.
Wonderful.
I just want to reflect, everybody's said so many good reasons for being part of an association, and certainly all the community and the networking and everything. But one thing that I always tell people when they join is, like, you get out of it what you put into it. And I think, Alli, you're such a good example of that. Like, you started out and you did this, and then you did this, and then you did that. And now your world has really opened up by being the president of the local chapter and being able to have all those experiences. And so we have lots of people who join, and then that's it. Like, they're just like on our list. And I think we probably all have those as different associations. So really, if you join something, like, really, like, go for it, be part of it, show up. So having said that, I will get off my soapbox and I will say, who is CPHR BC and Yukon? So we are people leading business. We were founded in 1942, and we have over 8,000 members now across BC and Yukon. That includes 1,400 student members. We have a designation. We do have the CPHR designation, and over 70% of our members either hold that designation or they're working towards it. And it is a Canadian designation, so it is portable throughout Canada. We advocate for our profession. We advocate for our members. We are considered to be the voice of the profession. And we have a huge amount of member benefits. My job is member relations manager, so many of those benefits I'm delivering or being part of or contributing towards. So we do also have an accreditation program where we've partnered with 15 post-secondary institutions across BC. We're still working on the Yukon one, but what that means is the students who graduate out of the HR programs at those accredited schools, when we get to talk about our designation a little bit later, they do not have to write our knowledge exam. So those partnerships are super valuable for those institutions. So the benefits of being a member in our association, and as everybody has spoken to in many of the different associations, is that we have something for everybody. We have something for a student, and we have something for the most senior HR leader. We offer a lot of professional development. As I said, we have our national certification, which is the CPHR. It gives you credibility, commitment to the profession. All the things that we've talked about in some of the other associations, they all apply to this as well. So if you're thinking of HR, or you're in HR, or you are now thinking, oh, maybe HR would be great, these are some of the things that you can look at towards member benefits here. We have a lot of networking events. We moved in 2020, obviously, we moved everything to be virtual. And what we found is that by moving it to be virtual, we enabled so many more people to be able to access everything. Before, if you lived in Fort St. John and there was a roundtable in Vancouver, that was pretty inconvenient. But now we find people joining from other countries. Last night in our coaching roundtable, we had somebody from Africa and we had somebody from India, and then of course all across BC and Yukon. So those virtual offerings are huge, and we're gradually rolling out more and more again of our in-person and partnering with other organizations like the TAP network out of Vancouver, and then People Ops, which is a local organization here where I'm located on Vancouver Island in Victoria. We do offer perks through Perkopolis. We have discounted rates on insurance and whatnot. We do have a job board that is accessible only by members. And we have as well a mentoring program, as I heard somebody else speak to. So we also have volunteer opportunities. And as Alli said, with her experience, volunteering is definitely a way to get yourself out front and center with people. With the pandemic and with our virtual offerings, we started offering a community of practice. And I've put this slide in here in particular because if you are working in a people related job in an organization, you don't have to be a member of CPHR to join our community of practice. So if you are in HR or people management in any of these the industries that we have listed here, these are opportunities where you can come and connect with other people who are in that same industry, who may be facing some of the same issues that you are, or have solutions to some of the things that you're coming across. We just had I think it was our Indigenous organizations community of practice, and the feedback I got afterwards kind of blew me away because they were so appreciative that many of them are often like one person working in an organization, and so they don't have people to bounce things off, and so they're like those lone riders out there in their HR shop, and being able to chat with people is just a huge benefit. We also have roundtables. We have different generalist roundtables. We have a career advancement network, and we have one specifically for newcomers who are new to Canada in the last 5 years, which is very well attended. We have an HR book club. We have a strategic HR forum, which is for more of our senior strategic HR folks. It is a hybrid, so we meet virtually and we meet in person. So it's kind of exciting. And then we have a whole bunch of specialist roundtables. So we're always building on these roundtables, on these offerings, and just depending on the need and what our members are looking for. And we really take what our members are looking for and what our members need very seriously. I have lots of conversations with people. When you do have the CPHR designation, You enhance your career opportunities and your compensation potential. You become a trusted advisor to your peers and employers, and you expand your network and career opportunities across the country. And this is what I was mentioning before, is that the designation is a Canadian designation. So in addition to CPHR BC and Yukon, there's CPHR Alberta, but it all falls under the umbrella of CPHR Canada. And so we, as CPHR Canada, we are also aligned with a bunch of different organizations, including the SHRM, which is the organization out of the US. And our CEO sits on many different boards for human resources throughout the world. So he's often speaking at different conferences and whatnot. The value of the CPHR designation, some of this we've talked about already, credibility, expertise, recognition, value, advancement, all of those things. There is different paths to get the designation. So it just depends what path you fall on. And we do actually have an information session about the designation if that's something that's of interest to you. We frequently reach out to our members. In fact, after every session, we're asking for feedback and they are giving it to us. And we ask them what they find of value in their membership. And it's really heartwarming, actually, how many people value their membership. And we just recently sent out our 20, 30-year member letters. And there was so many people who've been a member for such a long time. And that's what I had to say. So I had a lot of slides and I had a lot of things in there, but this is how you can, this QR code will take you to our website if you want to take a snap of that. And then that's my contact information, but you can also find me on the website as well. So.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm trying to go through my notes. How long have you been with the association? I think quite a bit, you told me, huh?
Yes, many years. I was an HR professional by profession. And so I was part of the association, but I was also working part-time. So I've actually been with CPHR, formerly known as other names, for 35 years this year.
I recall, I was like, wow, you know so much about it. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
and
I've grown up with it. We had 80 members here on Vancouver Island when I started, and now we have 1,062. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the need of being in community and learning from each other. So that's wonderful. A question I have is about the mentorship. Can you just tell us a little bit what it looks like?
Yeah, so our mentorship program underwent a big change. We've just done the first 2 cohorts. You must be a member. And it's an online application process. So now you're entering your stuff and choosing, I would like you to be my mentor. And it's just shortened up to be a 4-month program. So we're just in the beginning stages of that. Formerly, we took in all the intake and then we matched everybody up manually. And we had a big, long 9-month program and we found people dropping off. So we've really shortened it up and made it more concise, and also made the element of choice put the onus back on the mentee or the protege. So it's been good. The first 2 cohorts have gone really well. We're just about to launch the next one. So.
Love it. Yeah, that's so important. Thank you so much. Yeah. And before I pass it over to Dan with VIATEC, I'm so excited to hear from you. Yeah, when you talked about, Caroline, about the community of practice, I'm just sharing out loud with students here that this is something we started as I graduated from my program at Railroad, and it's so beneficial, right? So it's all our schoolmates that were like, oh, we spent 3 years together and now we're out in the world. So we meet every 2-3 months. So that's something, students, you can build in your own program, because I think there's a lot of benefit. And yeah, it breaks silos and people can chat, as you mentioned. If you're working alone in your office, you're like, oh, that feels good to just be with like-minded people.
Yeah. Can I just make a plug for one more thing?
Yes, for sure.
Right. Every Friday morning, we have something called Wake Up HR. So if you are even anywhere remotely close to the field of HR, you can come if you're a member or a non-member. It's at 7:30 every Friday morning. We've done, since the pandemic, we have had, I think, 250 Wake Up HRs. So for all the years that I've been with the association, it is by far the thing that I'm the most proud of. It is a place for people to connect and really learn from each other. And yeah, and so if you're even remotely in HR, come and join us. And it's on the website. Thanks.
Wonderful. Yeah, I know many students here in the room, they have their small business and they have employees and stuff. So yeah, I hope they can connect with you.
Yeah.
And Dan, sorry, you're going last and you were the first one to accept my invite to this event. So please go
No
ahead. And I
problem.
think you have a few slides. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'll maybe skip the slides. We'll see if I feel like they're required. One of the things that you asked us to speak about was sort of our personal journey with associations. And so mine ties very closely to Royal Roads. I was in the Bachelor of Commerce program in 2000. And VIATEC CEO at the time was the international business professor at UVic. And he brought a member of the, at the time, e-commerce special interest group to speak to our class. And I was sitting, I think is it Nixon 119? Is that the sort of the theater style classroom? I was sitting at the back there, and I was connected like manually to the internet because we didn't have Wi-Fi all over the school. And I immediately sent them a note saying I was interested in volunteering. So that group was specifically focused on e-commerce at the time, which was a big opportunity before the dot-com bubble burst, which was right actually around that time. It was July of 2000. What ended up happening was that was September 21st of that year. I started on a 7-month contract with VIATEC, which is the organization I'm CEO of now. So it's working with an association actually directly led to where my career is today. And so VIATEC is the Victoria Innovation, Advanced Technology and Entrepreneurship Council. Something I think that's a little unique compared to the other speakers today is we're an industry association, not a professional association. And so our job is to help grow the tech sector in Greater Victoria. And we focus on sort of the Capital Regional District, or the South Island is what some people call it. And we've been around since a group of innovators and entrepreneurs, I think it was 35 years ago. We're talking about the desire to get together more often, to share their opportunities and their challenges. And they recognize that the Greater Victoria area had a huge potential to be a thriving tech region. And so it was their thirst for community that created the organization, and we've grown from there. We have a lot of programs for tech companies and for tech employees. But I think the things that we should share with current students and people looking at professional associations is how to get involved, or how to learn more, or how to participate. And one of the main things, I think it was 81% or 84% of the people who join our organization join because they want to expand their network. They want to talk to people who are like them, that are sharing the same experiences and learn from each other. And so that kind of connective tissue and that community element is a big part of it. Why they stay is for other programming and elements. And so if anybody in your group plans to be an entrepreneur and start a tech company, then we have an accelerator program that we offer, where we have experienced mentors who have built and sold tech companies before, that we provide to qualified companies. You have to have a really good idea. Then we'll provide some mentorship to help you accelerate your success faster. We also own our building in downtown Victoria at 777 Fort Street. It's called Fort Victoria. And for any students who need a place to meet or study off campus, we have a big lounge that we leave open to the public. We have really fast internet. And lots of people come in there and just connect with each other or have meetings. So we see quite a few students, depending on the time of year, and quite a few entrepreneurs. And then we host a lot of events where you can get to meet people. So if your intent is to find a really good paying job and stay in Victoria, then we're probably one of the #1 places you want to hang out with, because tech companies generally pay quite well. And I'll just share with you that we recently released an economic impact study on the tech sector in Greater Victoria, and that's quite a task to undertake. It takes a lot of analysis and data gathering. And what we've learned is that revenues from the tech sector now are $5.9 billion a year, with an extra $2 billion in indirect economic impact, which makes it $7.9 billion industry. That's by far the largest private industry we have on the South Island. There's about 1,172 tech companies that are currently registered with BC Stats. There's 20,007 people working in tech jobs for tech companies. And it's growing quite quickly. Most of those things have grown about 20% in the last 5 years, most of those categories. In British Columbia, like everywhere, your average tech employee is earning $82,000 to $100,000 a year, depending. It's sort of at that junior mid-level. Well, more at the mid-level, actually. Juniors not quite that high, which is in some cases double the average household income in the CRD. And so it's a massive economic contributor. And we're really proud of that because we love the culture. We love the restaurants and the bars and the places to get our haircuts and the places to go kayaking and all of those things. And so tech people really appreciate that element of lifestyle and support it a great deal so that we can have all of those sort of amenities on a year-round basis. I think it's important to note, though, that while we're very proud of our size and impact, it's the fact that we have 2 universities and a college in Greater Victoria. 10% of the population of Greater Victoria is a post-secondary student. At one point, Maclean's magazine rated Canada's smartest cities, and Victoria was #1, and that was in 2010, and they haven't done it since. So we've been Canada's smartest city for 14 years in a row because we're undefeated. But that, having all those smart people and all that research done here is a big contributor. And then you add, we're the seat of our provincial capital, so we have a lot of government jobs as well, and that brings education, that brings policy. And it brings stability to the economy. And so when you look at our health sector, our government sector, our education sector, and tourism, we have all these legs to the economic stool in Greater Victoria that support each other and make each other stronger. Tourism, is what we're best known for. And people are often surprised that we're, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 times more revenue, but we employ half the people. But tourism, bringing over 4 million people to visit this year, or every year, a lot of them fall in love with the city and want to stay. And they become entrepreneurs that start tech companies or employees of the companies here. And so we're really thankful that we have such a beautiful place that a lot of people visit, because I constantly get last-minute meetings from people who are visiting saying, hey, I'm thinking about want to stay. What's that look like? And so I'll post in the comment area here a link to a place where you can subscribe to our bulletin newsletter so that you're in the loop of things that are coming up. Our next big public event is on November 5th. We were going to have a Halloween party, but then we realized the American election was scarier. And so we're having an election watch party on Tuesday, November 5th at our office. And you're welcome to join us for that. We'll have some American food and we'll watch it all roll in and hopefully not. Well, I'm not going to comment. Maybe your preferred candidate will win. Some will drown their sorrows. Some will celebrate. But you can join us for that. And we do lots of events where you can just come out and meet people. And something to note, because this is the class is international communication. Is that right?
We have students from many programs. Yeah.
Oh, okay. One of the things that one program that we're running that's quite interesting is, so in Canada, they have something called the Startup Visa Program. This is a program designed for entrepreneurs from around the world that are hoping to become Canadians to apply and bring their business concepts to our country. And we're one of the few designated entities in the country that are allowed to do the due diligence and vetting of these projects. And we're one of only 10 that get preferred processing because we're members of Canada's Tech Network. And so just tying into the importance of associations, I'm a member of Canada's Tech Network, which are 27 other organizations like VIATEC across Canada. And I get so much from talking to them because things that I think are problems, I hear what their problems are, and I know we don't have nearly as many problems, or at least we have the same problem. And so you can just get that commiseration, if not anything else from it. But as a member of CTN, we're one of 10 organizations that gets preferred processing. And there are a lot of people who want to be in Canada. And so since we started taking applications to that program, we've had over 1,000 applications from around the world. And what we do now for those entrepreneurs, because we can't screen that many, 200 people a year, we don't have the resources. So what we do is we have a free course called Market Validation Training. It's a 5-module course. So when people say they're interested, we say, okay, you have access to this course. When you've completed the course, you will have, the result will be what we call a playbook. It's like a business plan. And then we'll review that. And what that does is right away, 1,000 becomes 500 because they don't want to do the work. And then 500 started, and that becomes about 250 because it's difficult to finish, or they realize maybe that concept isn't going to work, or they get another opportunity. And then we've reviewed about 180 playbooks. We've worked with about 80 companies, and we've endorsed 38 new companies to come to Victoria from around the world, and 15 of them are already operating in Victoria. And the reason we're doing that is, one, let's grow the economy. Why not? Let's create more jobs. But also, I don't know how many people have noticed just how what's the word? Not diverse Victoria is. Right? Where I think I've been around the world, and I've been to very few whiter places than Victoria. And so we've worked with companies like Freshworks more than 10 years ago, AOT Technologies, which have gone on to become like They employ hundreds of people now, and they were started by students who had come to Victoria. They were going to UVic for their MBA or Royal Roads. We help them become entrepreneurs, create companies, and then they create a pipeline to new customers, new investors, and new talent all around the world. And so we're hopeful that through the Startup Visa program, we'll be able to continue to expand those connections for our community so we can help continue to help it grow. I will put that link where you can subscribe to the bulletin. You're welcome to become a member. It's like $20 for a student, but I'll be honest with you, you probably don't need to unless you want to go to one of our marquee events, then you'll want the discount. But otherwise, we do a lot of stuff that's just wide open to the public because we want everybody to feel like they belong.
Thank you, Dan. Super inspiring. Yeah, I was just reading that on the website. I'm like, did I read it wrong? Is it just $20 a year? So that's amazing. Yeah, for students here in Victoria, that's fantastic. And can you just tell us quickly about, for me, tech was really like something specific. But when I went to one of your presentation, I realized, wow, tech can be a lot.
Yeah, and I think that gets harder and harder to define because tech should be, if you run any kind of business and you don't have, and you're not taking advantage of tech tools to give you a competitive advantage, you're probably falling behind. So we define it in a number of ways. The bullseye of tech is you do your own research and develop your own products entirely in-house. And then you have what we call applied technology, where you may be building some of your components, but you're also using components from outside your organization. You're doing some form of systems integration. And then we have tech dependent, which is the rest of the world. But we don't really, we don't count that in those numbers for economic development, right? And so when we talk about economic impact, that's specifically based on the revenues employment of companies that are registered with a North American industry code for being a technology company. So you can think everything from advanced manufacturing, environmental technology, ocean sciences, marine technology, AI, AR, VR, even fintech, medical devices. So it is quite diverse, but that is actually where there is the most economic opportunity as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned you had a speaker coming to your classroom back in 2020 and you messaged them. So I think this is a good tip for all our students here. It's like finding all of you on LinkedIn or emailing you and getting that connection kind of rolling instead of waiting. As Coleen, you mentioned at the end of your study and you're like, oh no, I should have done that.
Yeah, I have that happen quite often where people say, I just graduated and I'm trying to find a job. How do I build a network? And I'm like, well, you're 8 months late, but this is how you can start now, but you should have started while you were in school, because that's also going to get noticed by, employers, is that, hey, this person is proactive, right? And so you do need to stand out. I mean, we can't employ everybody, right? We have 20,000 people and we're growing that at about 20% every 5 years. So it's not quite compounded on 4%, but it gives you an idea that there is limited opportunity and the best are the ones that are going to get those opportunities. And one of the ways you show that is by being proactive and standing out and doing unique things.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And that's what our students are doing today by showing up. I know some people are messaging me, they have to run to a class at 1 p.m., but I don't know if some folks want to unmute and ask questions. Even my colleagues, if you have any question. Wow, that was such a rich conversation. Thank you so much, all of you. I'm just like buzzing with all information. Yeah. Is there any question? People are quiet. I'll just look here. Yeah, someone is asking me, are you okay with people connecting with you by email or via LinkedIn? Okay, perfect. If you're on LinkedIn, and I'll do a LinkedIn post after the event as well. So some of you will be tagged if you have a LinkedIn account. So students, you can look there and we'll share recording. Some people are asking for the recording as well. No question here. Perfect. Wow. I guess all of you did a really good job if there's no question. Oh, yeah, good question for you, Coleen. Are there any other events or opportunities to network in addition to your annual career fair?
There definitely are. Right now, across the country, although not necessarily in Victoria yet, we are having EP meetups where we're launching local chapters. And that's where some of our certified members are starting their own little groups to help people connect more often with local environmental professionals. We also have the Green Horizons Roadshow going on right now, and that's free to attend. All of this information is on our website, and it's at spots all across the country. And if Victoria isn't listed there yet, it's a very popular spot, I was saying at the beginning. So ECO loves to come to Victoria. So keep an eye on our website and just click on events or sign up for our newsletter, because the newsletter always talks about our events too.
Good point. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I guess everybody's gaining 5 minutes in their day. And again, like a big round of applause for all of you. Thank you for saying yes to my invite. I know everybody here is so busy, but yeah, that was very beneficial, and I'll work on the recording and share it with all of you as well. Yeah, I see a lot of thank you, a lot of smiles, so that's a good sign. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day. Until next time.